Hey, Joyful Journeyer, Anita Adams here, your host. And today I'm pleased to introduce you to Carol Mae Whittick, who is a creativity and spiritual life coach and podcaster. Carol supports visionaries and conscious creators to utilize their inner power to boldly express their purpose. In addition to coaching, Carol shares wisdom and insights with a broader audience as a dedicated podcaster. She is the creator of Higher Energetic Resonance, HER or her podcasts. These include Her Conversations, Tools for the Awakening, which is a platform for thought-provoking interviews with leading experts in the fields of spirituality and creativity, and Her Inspirations, which is a solo show where she shares her unique perspectives on key topics encountered by those seeking a deeper knowing of themselves and the world. Welcome, Carol. It's so great to have you here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you, Anita.
And I have to tell you, I really enjoy both of your shows. You share some powerful and thought-provoking insights, and you're a fabulous host. I have to say, having experienced being on the receiving side of the conversation with you, I really enjoy our time together, and I've enjoyed the conversations you've had with many others. So, Joyful Journeyer, check out her show. Again, it's Her Inspirations, HER Inspirations, and her conversations, tools for the awakening. Awesome. All right, well, let's dive in. You talk about creativity is spirituality. So I'd like to start there. What do you mean by this?
Mm. That awareness came to me very, very early on because I delved into my imaginal world as a way to find some stability in the life in my life as a child, because everything around me was very chaotic because of just, circumstances within the household. And over time, I'd realized that I'd be able to just kind of bring things in, have an idea and be able to write a song, or have an idea to make some clothes, or even learn how to ride a bike, and I'm writing about my story at the moment. So I'm just remembering all of these anecdotes. And it wasn't until I got much older that I realized that, hang on, where's all this stuff coming from? No, especially when I was learning to play the piano. So I'd go to a piano tutor and they would say, okay, go to the shop and buy these books. So for initially when I was learning, I always thought that you went to the shop and you bought a book and that's where you got music from. But then when I started to make music of my own, it's like, well, where's this coming from? This is coming from somewhere else, some kind of different realm. And maybe I didn't put the word of spirituality on it at that point, but I knew that it came from somewhere that wasn't here. And I always had an interest in esoteric things anyway. As a young girl, I was always looking into the esoteric arts, palmistry, like horoscopes and tarot and that kind of stuff. And even though I've moved away from those expressions, I've kind of gone more into spirituality, and I realized that it's the same space. It's the same space when you're in prayer. It's the same space when you're in meditation, when something comes through to you that we might call a download, and then you turn it into something that's tangible, and realizing that's us in contact with spirit. So is that not spirituality? So that's kind of where I've got to it, which is why I just say, like, tapping into your creativity is your connection with your spirituality.
I've never heard it expressed like that before, and I absolutely love it. And I see the truth. It resonates deeply with me, the truth of what you're saying. And I've experienced that where it feels like it's a download that you're
Mm.
tapping into something much deeper and more powerful than just everyday life. I love that. So that is really tuning into your higher self, is what I'm hearing. You're tuning into your higher self, your inner wisdom, and that creativity is coming through to you. And I know that when we tune into that higher self, we are often directed to step outside of our comfort zone, and our greatest self, our greatest creative self is big, bold, and beautiful. It takes courage to really listen and to follow that. How do you guide your clients to find the courage to really lean in and listen?
To one of the simplest ways I can say is, if you want something different, if you want something new in your life, the vantage point that you're on, the ground level that you're on, is not going to get you from A to B. You've got a part of you that is looking at you from 1,000 foot, whoever knows, like way above that higher self, that can see the way forward and knows that you need to go through certain experiences, whether it looks like you're taking the long way around or not, because there will be a learning and a transformation and experience that will bring out a different part of you, that just like knowing or taking like the lily pad step from one or from A to B will never get you there. So when you're being led into something else, it's showing you that that there is a part of you that's kind of asking you to step out of the zone of who you are, because if you want to change, you're going to have to do different things. And it's about trusting, because the more that you can trust, then the more that you hear it, you're like, oh, here we go again. It's telling me something weird, but I'm going to go with it because the last time it's worked out for me. Or sometimes, I mean, initially there'd be times when I was much younger that I'd go along with all the things that I knew, and then there's a period of time where I started to doubt it because I started to listen to everyone else. But then, and then the times that when I look back on the times that I didn't take my own inner wisdom, um, I had to pay a price. It sometimes it was financial, sometimes it was just lost time or lost opportunity. So over time, you get to realize that if you keep ignoring this, then it's going to take much longer. I don't think spirit ever gives up on you, but you could have got there sooner rather than later, if you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean, and I have been there where I have not listened to that inner voice of wisdom that has was trying to guide me, or didn't felt so uncomfortable, so outside that comfort zone that I questioned it, I doubted it. And it really slows down your progress when you're trying to move towards, this beautiful vision that you have for your life. And when you doubt it, and when you step away, when you start, like you said, to start listening to the external voices, other people, then it really, yeah, just slows you down drastically. Do you have any tips on how to build that trust? Is it just really playing with it and taking your time to build up trust, or is there something that you can do to help lean in so you can move more quickly towards that highest self?
Mhm. I'd say a couple of things. One is, know that it's, for the most part, if it doesn't feel there's going to be an element of fear, but there'll be something that kind of feels like it's not telling you to go and jump in the river or put your hand in the fire, but it's telling you to kind of move in a way that is a little bit uncomfortable, but there could be something there. So there's an element of curiosity more so than fear. If you really break it down, ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? um Moving into that space will just try it out and see what happens, because you can always return home at the end of the day. If it looks too scary, jump back. But also treat it as a relationship. This is someone, your higher self. This is an aspect of you that is always on your shoulder, always prodding you to like do or look or put things in front of you. And it's like any relationship. Like when you first meet or first connect with somebody new, you want them to prove themselves, and you got to give it a try. Give it a try and see, okay, where's this going to take me? And the more that you do it and the more things open up in new ways, then you're like, actually, this person isn't that bad. I can go along with it. You build up that trust. It's just I would say that in think of it as a relationship. And the more that you have a relationship with anyone in your life, the trust is built up over time. It's not just oh, you've turned up and you're perfect. You want to see that what they're telling you or how they're showing up in your life is congruent with all the things that they say. So treat it as a long-term, lifelong relationship, because it is.
I love that. And it's so true. It's about really getting to know yourself, like your higher self. And you said something earlier, and I just want to present it about being curious. I think curiosity plays such a huge role in building that trust and that relationship. You know, I
Yeah.
like to think about it as having a love affair with my highest self, you know,
Mm.
and any kind of relationship, particularly a new loving relationship that you step into, you are lovingly curious about the other person, right? So very,
Mm-hmm.
very cool. Okay, so tell me, let's dive in a little bit more into understanding why creativity is such an important role in developing our spirituality.
Mm-hmm. Because creativity is what we're here for. Like, I mean, if anyone thinks it's anything else, then you kind of, I'm not say you're missing the boat, but you kind of are. And we're all creating our lives, whether we're allowing ourselves to be conscious of it or not. And often when people hear me say creativity, they think, oh, but I'm not a creative person. And this is not necessarily down to you being a painter or singer or a musician or an architect or anything. Creativity is the way that you express yourself in absolutely everything that you do and the way that you show up in your life. So, like for me, if I think of how I wanted to create my life as a young girl growing up in a single family in a on a housing estate in Wolverhampton, I had dreams of like completely different things that made no sense to where I came from, and that was all about me creating this idea. I'm like, I'm going to do all of these things in order to be that. I'm going to create that so that when I get to this age and that age, all the things that I'm being told are my fate, it's not going to be my fate. I decided many years ago that the fate that was kind because of my circumstances was not the outcome that I was going to have. And of course, that would just caused a lot of like derision and conflict with people who wanted me to be realistic and practical. But if you keep in your mind what it is that you want for your life and what it is that you believe that it's possible, and you keep painting that picture, life will keep moving you forward towards it. And this is evidence for me, that all the things that I've been through have made sense. It could have maybe gone quicker if I'd have listened in, and not mistrusted what I've been shown. Um, and also, if I think if we start to see that our lives are a creation, and every way that we're living, and we're living as artists, and everything that we do and everything that we put out into the world is like almost like a brushstroke. We talk about wanting to leave a mark on the world. If you want to think of that analogy and think of everything that you do is a mark on the world, that your life is a blank canvas, and what colors are you going to paint it to with, and what impression are you going to leave for others when they think about the legacy that you leave that is your life. Then you are a creator, and whatever way you choose to express it is your art. And then if you live your life like art, in the way that an artist express themselves on whatever medium they choose, everything just becomes more profound. And it doesn't mean that you're so serious to the point that you're very dour with it, but because you have fun, because creativity is playing, it's fun. It's like, when anyone who knows anything is just about playing around and trying to figure things out, you make more mistakes and you kind of figure it out as you go. It makes you're serious about your life because you want it to be creative, but you're playing at the same time. There's this lightness to it. Even when challenges come, there's a lightness to it. So those are the kind of the things that I'm trying to communicate in this way.
So beautiful. Live your life like art. I love that. Live your life like art, and everything we do is a brushstroke that we're painting, co-creating. I like to think of co-creating my life with God, with the divine,
Yeah.
and my
Yeah.
higher self. And to me, that feels, like I'm still in control, and yet I'm inviting God, source, my
Hmm.
higher self to partner in this creation with me, and let's see what
Mm.
kind of beauty we can create. So
Mm.
wonderful. I love that. It's a shift in the way we look at how we're living life, isn't it? If we can really explore it as a piece of artwork, and what kind of what do we want to leave for
Mm.
others to experience? And it's an expression
Yes.
of ourselves. Beautiful. Thank you for those words and those that imagery you painted with this. So how can we develop or further enhance our own creativity?
Mm. I'm always thinking about this when people say, well, what do I do? How do I be more creative? I'm like, find something to play with, find something to doodle to do. And it can be anything, for some it's like I'm gonna get a wreck of a car and I'm gonna redo it and turn it into something that it used to be. There's like everyone has a little thing that they do. Maybe it's the way that you place the furniture around your home. Maybe it's the way that you cook your food. Maybe it's the way that you dress. Find something that's an expression of yourself in whatever way it is. Maybe it's the way that you choose to talk. Maybe it's the way that you do your hair. Make it simple
Mm,
and just see and play around and try and do things sometimes in a way that's kind of opposite to what it is that you would normally do, because we do get into routines, like we're always doing our hair the same, we always put the same color makeup on. But what would it be if you just did everything the opposite way and try to see what else you could be in a different, you know, even writing with the opposite hand, just kind of pull yourself and see what else you can be. Go to somewhere that you're not used to. Like read a book that's written, if you vote blue, go and read a book that's written by someone who votes red. Put yourself in a position, put yourself out of your comfort zone, put yourself in a place where you'd almost be like triggered by the whole event and see what comes out of you, because it will show you different sides of yourself. If we start to understand more about the world, we can see that, okay, you don't just box yourself in. And sometimes we get so attached to an idea of who we are and what we stand for and what we're about that we never become more than that. It's like, this is who I am, that's it. Your creativity is your evolution of yourself. So by exposing yourself to things that are the opposite of what you think you are, you might find something more about yourself that you never knew was possible. And it's not to say that you change your mind about what it is that you believe in or don't believe in, but that breadth of like awareness opens you up to more possibility. It just shows you that maybe what I thought, this little square of ground that was me, is not just me. Maybe there's more that I can be, even if I never really change. Having an awareness of more brings you've got more tools to play with, you've got more language, you've got more opportunity to hear people in a different way and hear something that might be the catalyst to bring out something new in yourself. As to say, push your own boundaries, really open up to other things, do things in a different way.
that's really powerful. And what I'm hearing two really key things here. One is to remember to play, just with the simple things that we do in our day and putting on our makeup or getting dressed or finding expression in how we present ourselves to the world or how we make dinner or whatever. So the little simple ways of incorporating play into our day. And the other important thing I'm hearing that you're saying is find new ways of experiencing life, to do something that is almost like the complete opposite of what you would typically do, to then experience and explore what it's brought up within you in this new experience. Otherwise, we get too locked in and rigid into our existence. And we can find play and creativity by breaking outside of the box. Did I sum that up
Yeah, yeah,
accurately?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I love
yeah,
that idea. And
yeah.
it's something that takes intention because we get so locked into our daily routines, doesn't it?
Mm,
Don't we?
mm-hmm.
We just, this is how I get to work. This is, the time I make dinner. This is how my evening routine. Like, so finding a new way to just experience life will help to develop your creativity. Awesome.
Yeah. And it gets
Awesome.
you out of that autopilot as well, because
Yeah.
if we just continually do things all the same time, if we're in a long-standing friendship, relationship with people, then we kind of do things by rote. We end up taking people for granted, and things fall away. But if we're open to see the growth in each other and keep being conscious about trying to explore new things and put ourselves in new places, you can't help but be new in that new expression. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. All right, I want to talk about creativity and inner wisdom. Kind of bring up that conversation back to that because they're so. From what you're saying to me, they're so interconnected. The two are they
Mm.
literally go hand in hand, and I really do love this concept. So, how can we bring more intuitive awareness into our everyday life? So we're tapping into our inner wisdom and creating that deeper sense of connection to our higher selves and the creative opportunities that bring.
Mm. You mentioned it before. Curiosity is an easy way of doing something like that, because when you get into curiosity, curiosity is a question. If you think of children, and they want to know why, how, why, and they never stop. They never stop asking why. If you feel the way that you are in your body and your awareness about, like, how am I going to this out, or when you're trying to find somewhere to go, it's like, where is it, which way do I go? You're always out there looking for a clue or something. So by staying open in the question, in the curiosity of there is something out there, then it gives you the opportunity for things to show up and drop in, and also drop in ways that are almost laughable. Sometimes you're asking for a question. I know I'm in the question of something else right now as well. I'm like, how am I going to do this? I need to really create something within a period of time, and how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? And that's all I can do, even though there's a part of my brain that's going, this is not possible. I'm like, but other people are doing it, so it is. So how do I do this? And I know that if I stay in that question energy, that something is going to show itself up, and it could show up in any way. It could be conversation, something pops up online, like an idea, like I'll wake up tomorrow morning and I'll know it. It will come in that way. And then it's when things happen like that, that you are like, I am grateful. It's just like, oh my, thank you. That it just kind of comes from seemingly nowhere, and then sometimes it turns up in such a way that all you can do is laugh. It's like this is, it's like almost like hilarious. And the thing is, when you realize that there is something, someone, some power that's always just trying to like lay the ground for you, as long as you stay open, you can't help but stay open, because it's way more magical than trying to ask human brains sometimes, because they might be closed in their own awareness. So that's what deepens it for me, by staying open and seeing the magic that turns up. It's like, why would you ever want to shut that magic down for yourself? Just stay open. Yeah, curiosity, questions.
Love it. Yeah,
Mm.
and the more you're open and curious and you start to pay attention and you
Mm.
start to see more and more of it, which I think feeds that confidence, that courage to really lean in and listen to it. So paying attention is so key, isn't it? And
Yeah.
presence. Be able to pay attention, you have to be present to what's going on
Mm.
around you. And curiosity helps with that presence, doesn't it?
Yeah, because you're waiting for something to turn up, and it's going to turn up. When it
Yeah.
turns up, it's going to turn up in that now moment anyway. So you have to be aware,
Love
instead
it.
of worrying about, oh gosh, it's not going to happen. I'm going to, when you get out of that space of curiosity and waiting for the response, if you're just thinking about the future and all the things that could go wrong, or if you're in the past of, like, worrying about what didn't work out before, then you're missing it, and it could turn up and it could be right in front of your face, and you won't see it because
Yeah.
you're thinking about other things. But if you're clear and present and waiting, and in the receiving of it as well, and this is something that I'm always learning to do for myself. Like, a lot of time I can get into this doing mode and this entrepreneur, and shut everything out, and realize that sometimes, no, open up and stay in that receiving, because the it's there for me all the time. It's been there for me before, it will be there for me again. Just open up, open up, open up. So I'm re-coaching myself over something as well.
Yeah, yeah. I find we have to constantly self-coach, don't we, on this
Yeah,
journey?
yeah.
So, what is your process for letting go of the worries of the future and the stories of the past and getting present?
If I think about the things that I'm working on now, is just to get into the vision of it.
Mm.
Sometimes it's just like journaling or just like
Okay.
writing over my desk. I've always got like notes of things written down of what I want to do, and just dreaming, getting to that space of dreaming and seeing that, so that I can go, this is what we're working on, this is what we're bringing forward. And also being in the energy of it having already been done, on some plane, in it already exists. So because I'm seeing it so clearly on some plane, it already exists, and remind myself, if I'm in the energy of the person who's already achieved what it is that I think I'm a newbie at, then I step into my so-called problems with a new space, as opposed to someone like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. It's like, you do know, because you've done it, because you can see it. Your job is to just bring it forth now, and remind myself of bringing that forth, and it just gets back into that play. Then it's just, it's a matter of time. It's inevitable, we're going to do this. Like, spirit is not so much of a game player that it would show me this grand vision and then just dangle it in front of me and go, not, nah, not this life, but here's what you could have won. It's like, no, like, this is for you, and your game, the game that you're playing, is bringing it through, and in whatever way. And as long as you keep walking towards it, all of these little things will show up to guide you through the way, and the people that you'll meet, the conversations, that kind of stuff.
That's a powerful technique, using this notion of connecting with your future self who's already done it, who's already achieved this incredible outcome, and the confidence that you can then move forward with your vision. I love that. Thank you for sharing that technique. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah,
And like I
thank you.
said, the confidence that you must feel to be able to move forward. And you're right, spirit doesn't dangle things in front of you that's unachievable. This
Mm.
is for you to move into, to own. Beautiful.
Mhm. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all this. I have one more, actually a couple more questions, but one I'm really curious about, how your inner wisdom communicates with you. Do you hear a voice? Do you see visions? Do you like what do you just get feelings? Like what how does it show up in your life?
Multiple ways.
Okay.
So, there's multiple ways. Sometimes it depends on what I'm doing. A lot of the time I'll see things, so especially when it's coming to seeing myself, what I'm going to be going to be doing in the future. One of the things that I really want to do more of is more public speaking. So I've been doing some training about that, and very quickly I've realized, once I've kind of got over the process and got out of my mind about it, is prior to going on stage, if I just kind of see myself giving the speech already and doing it and feeling it, I'm there already. Um, Sometimes I'll just know. I'll wake up, oh, okay, then, so I don't even know. It's like it's there.
Right.
It's already
This
there,
inner
I don't know
knowing.
when it came in. Yeah. Sometimes I've had instances where it's a gut feeling, where it is a just, and I remember one time that I had a gut feeling about a flat that I moved into, and I shouldn't have moved into it, but I did. But I couldn't work out why I was feeling so ill. Like, moving into the flat that day, I felt so bad, and I couldn't work out why. And it just turned out, eventually to not be the right thing for me to do. But looking back, it's like, oh, that's what that was, because it made no sense. But I have had instances. There was one instance, I've been writing about this recently, where I went into really deep meditation. I was taken into a deep meditation, and it was by a man called James D'Angelo, who I think still does these kind of sound healings. And demonstrated so many things. He was doing like overtone chanting and doing singing bowls and tuning forks and placing them all over. So as a musician, I loved the idea of sound, and it brought me down. But I remember that meditation, and in that meditation going so deep into this space where it was, the way that I describe it, the way that I remember it, is it wasn't like I was in a black space. It was I was in a very deep blue space, because black seems quite flat. I don't know if you mean, but if you think of something that's like a deep blue, it just had this kind of velvety, infinite space around it. And he kind of brought us down into this meditation where I was aware, you can see through the membranes, but at some point then there was almost like I had a second eyelid, like those
Mm.
reptiles, and it just went super dark. And then during that time, my voice came and said to me, anything is possible. But it wasn't like it came from me, it came to me. And I've never forgotten that, because I've always tried to get to that place in my own meditations and I've never got close. But it was such a profound experience of hearing my voice come at me, and just hearing what it was, hearing what it should be. And but it was like, is this the voice of God? And I've heard other people say similar things, that they hear the voice of God but it's their voice, but they know it's not them, so
Right.
it comes in their own tone. And then when I was doing music, I'd just hear melodies. So it depends what I'm doing, it depends
Yeah.
what I'm doing. So
Thank
it
you for
comes to me in
sharing.
multiple ways. So
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, because I'm always curious if it's the same for everyone or quite different for everyone. And I love hearing how it can come to us, because sometimes I think, especially if you're new to this, you might be receiving something and not even realizing that you're receiving something. You might
mhm.
dismiss it. You dismiss that feeling initially in your gut about that pad that you went to. Now you know that when you get that feeling, that is your inner wisdom guiding you, telling you that this isn't right, or whatever,
Yeah,
get out. Right.
don't do it, don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think it's
yeah.
important to have these questions and conversations so others can start to be aware of how
Mm.
they may receive the information, and really tune into to exploring that, being curious, like we were talking
Mm.
about, being curious at how is it going to show up for me,
Yeah,
so
yeah. And
very
just know that if you have a feeling that doesn't really make sense sometimes, that kind of really check into what that might be about. There's times when I've met people and everyone's singing their praises and I've just been like, I don't think so. And the thing is, and even when it makes no sense, because no one leads with their undercurrent personality, that everyone's nice at the beginning, but there's just been that, not really, and I know now sometimes it's just better not to voice those things,
right.
especially if everyone's going like this, this person, the sun shines out of everywhere, and you're like, maybe, but and then then time tells that, so if I kind of get a sense that around someone, then I will just pull back, and if ever I'm around somewhere and I'm just unusually quiet, then like anyone who knows me knows that Carol's not happy. It's not that I'm a loud person, but sometimes that I've got a quietness and then I've got a silence, and there's a difference between the two, even
Right.
though they sound like the same thing. If I'm just like really not engaging,
Right.
then that I'm not feeling it.
You've learned to listen and understand the signs and the things that well up within, which is
Yeah,
awesome. That's what
yeah,
we're striving for, right? We're striving to really be able to hone that as a tool, really. I mean, that sounds kind of crass, I guess, to think of our inner wisdom as a tool. And yet it is. It's a tool
yeah.
that is guiding us to our highest best selves and the greatest possibilities for our lives. And our job is to figure out how to work with that part of us, how to use this knowledge, this wisdom that we have, this tool that is available to us. So, and it takes practice. It takes some awareness, intention, practice,
Mm.
commitment, curiosity, all of that. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today, Carol. I really enjoyed our conversation. If people wanted to find out more about you, how to work with you as a coach, or to listen to your shows and all the beautiful things that you put out into the world, I know you've got a book that's also going to be coming out later this year. How can people connect with you?
The best way is to go to the website, because then that's a hub, and then you can either find everything on there or find me on elsewhere. But yeah, it's carolmaewhittick.com. So CarolMaewhittick.
Wonderful, wonderful. And of course, we'll include that in the show notes so our listeners can easily find you. Again, thank you so much for your time and Joyful Journeyer. I hope you enjoyed our show today. And please do reach out, check out Carol Mae Whittick's podcast, some fabulous information there. And I love her solo episodes. They're all, 15 to 20 minutes long, packed full of beautiful information. And her voice is just delicious to listen to. So check that out. And we will catch you next time, Joyful Journeyer. Thanks for tuning in. Bye for now.